Alrighty, so we're gonna jump straight in by talking about these first 8 games that happened in terms of match week number 21 in the Saturday night action because we only got about 30 minutes before the Sunday night soccer game between Columbus and the Philadelphia Union. It's about to begin, and obviously, most likely, I might miss the first 10 minutes of that game because I'm just doing this really quick review, that is, but we're gonna go as fast as we can in terms of knocking out these 8 games and looking at the first 8 games of the Saturday night action. And one thing I will say is that, in terms of this Saturday night action, there were definitely games that feature a lot of goals, and then there are games where, yeah, there wasn't as much goal as what we see in the midweek action. But we start off with the first one, which is Toronto versus the Portland Timbers, and this was definitely one of the more surprising resort, and a resort that, yeah, I mean, for the Portland Timbers, did they realize that the Gold Cup break is over? Because they definitely did not show up in this game whatsoever, and this was definitely one of the best games that TFC have played this season. Probably right up there in terms of them smacking 6-1 to Montreal in that Canadian Classic earlier this season. But in the first half, Longwood heads it wide from close. Toronto definitely started the better side as they were looking for the opener, and they got that exactly in the 11th minute as Correggio would score a wonderful free kick goal there. It's been a while since TFC have scored a free kick goal, but he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of Toronto. Pantemis then denied Dominguez from close. It was all Toronto early in this one. Portland seems like they're look like a team that not only hasn't played for a while, but it feels like they realize that, yeah, the break is over. I mean, they are they gonna show up in this game? We then go for a period where not much really happened. Correggio then looked for another free kick goal, but he puts that one over. But we do head to halftime with TFC leading 1-0. In the second half, Kelsey had a shot that was deflected and goes high, as that was really the first shot for the Timbers. And little did we know that would be the first of only 4 shots that the Timbers would have in this entire game. Bray Hinson would puts it wide from close. Pantemis then denied Spicer from close in the 52nd minute. Toronto kind of picked up where they left off. They were looking to try to get another goal, and they did exactly that in the 56th minute. As Spicer would score to make it 2-0 in favor of TFC. It came off of a chaotic play from the corner, which the Timbers didn't do a good job clearing it. TFC took advantage of it, and just like that, they were 2-0 up against the Timbers. Zuperich then had looked to answer, but he heads this one wide. We then go for another period where not much really happened. And this is kind of when I read, yeah, the Timbers realize the Gold Cup break is over. I mean, are they going to show up in this game whatsoever? Pentemis then denying Corbeanu from close in the 88th minute, but then the 4th minute of stoppage time, just a cherry on the top for TFC. It would be Smith that unfortunately scored an own goal for TFC in this one. Just kind of sums up of just a nightmare game that the Portland Timbers has had. This is by far the worst game that the Portland Timbers had, and again, it just looked like a team that clearly we're not only not preparing this one, but also realize that, yeah, the Gold Cup break is over. They need to show up at least for once, but they didn't do so. TFC with an easy 3-0 win, and the shots kind of tells the story. 13 shots committed, just 4 that the Timbers had. No shot on goal compared to the 6 that TFC had. No shot that was off target compared to the 5 that TFC had. One shot that was blocked for the 3 that the Timbers had. Well, actually, I said no shots off target. Technically, they had one shot off target, the Zuberich shot that hits wide. I didn't think that took a deflection, so I'm not sure why MLS didn't uh, actually put that as a shot off target. But nevertheless, possession wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that TFC has in this game. Just an utter embarrassing performance by the Portland Timbers. And I don't blame their fans getting absolutely fuming about this result. This is by far the worst the Timbers have played this season, and maybe for a while. I have never seen them being this unprepared coming into this game, and especially when you're facing against a TFC side that, yes, this is the side that is not easy to get wins as we see in the beginning of the season. But the fact that they didn't even show up in this game and gave up 3 goals to a team that's not known for goal scoring, yikes, that's definitely not a good look for Phil Neville side. But one thing that was kind of a good look was the next game we're going to talk about, which is Orlando City versus Cincinnati. And I gotta say, I can't wait to see if both of these teams meet each other in the playoffs, because this definitely felt like it was a playoff game. It definitely had that feeling of a big match between both of these teams. But in the end, Cincinnati was able to be victorious coming out of this big match, and maybe kind of send a message to the rest of the league that, yeah, they are going to be a real contender in the Eastern Conference, as if we didn't think that of course was the case in the beginning. I mean, I did say that the 2 Ohio team is going to be a legit contender in the East by the end of the season, but not much really happened, at least in this game. It's been kind of a cagey start. Just kind of had that playoff feeling where when you see a playoff game, usually the first 15 minutes is going to be very cagey. Not much really will happen. Celentano would then deny Paslic from close before he denied Ojeda from close. Orlando definitely start to get some more possession and was pressing for the opening goal. Denke would put it over for long range as that was the first shot for Cincy in the 25th minute. And then Galese would deny Evander from long range and Mbiaska would head to wide from close. Safe to say that Cincinnati started got into this to this game, and now we're creating some chances to press for the opening goal. And they did exactly that right at the stroke of halftime. Evander would score on this free kick here, but yeah, this is one that Galese would not want to look back. I mean, he got caught leaning there, and again, when you're facing against such a dangerous free kick uh, goal scorer like Evander, that is, it's understandable. Maybe some goalkeeper might be caught cheating there, maybe lean toward, but here Galese just kind of got caught cheating in terms of the lean toward, and by the time he's trying to realize that, oh, Evander went the right way. And to be fair, I think Evander kind of saw it, and this is when you know he is a very great free kick taker. He has that deception to know where the goalkeeper is going, and when you realize the goalkeeper is going one way, he goes the other. Kind of similar to what you see with a penalty kick taker, where he can definitely read the eyes of the goalkeeper, and if the goalkeeper goes the one way, he's gonna tuck it on the other side and puts it in. And here, yeah, Evander definitely read the eyes of Galese, realized that he was going one way, he put it to the other. Galese tried to come back to keep it out, couldn't do so, and just like that, Cincinnati takes the lead heading into halftime. So in the second half, Enrique would puts it wide from close range. I thought Orlando started well in the second half. They were looking for the equalizer. Galese would then deny Kamara from close before for Halson would puts it wide from close range. Ojeda then puts it wide from long range in the 72nd minute as both of these teams were exchanging some chances. But then the 74th minute, Evander would score again. This time he scored from Denke and Buka to make it 2-0 in favor of Cincinnati. It came off of a lightning counter attack there from Cincinnati, knowing that Orlando was going to have to push to try to get the equalizer. This was very smart of Pat Nolan decided to play that counter attack style and catch Orlando on the counter attack because of them committing man forward. Montreal did look to answer in the 80th minute, but he puts it wide. But in the 87th minute, Paslic does get one back to set up a grandstand finish. As he scored from Ojeda and Enrique to make it 2-1 in this one. Cincinnati, that probably is one that they want to have back because they just never clear their lines completely there. Orlando will just kind of pin them in, and they pay the price as a result. In the 7 minute stoppage time, Enrique would head it just high from close. It is just basically all hands on deck for Cincinnati. I mean, the momentum was with Orlando. They were throwing the kitchen sink to get the equalizer, and they should have got it in the 9th minute stoppage time, as Brekalo was literally there on the doorstep of goal. All he had to do was put that one on target, and he puts it over. That is going to be one that he's going to be thinking about at least for this whole week, because that should have been the equalizing goal. But instead, Cincinnati, they get a big road win in this one, continue that reputation of being one of the toughest teams they're trying to play when they're, of course, going on the road. The shots in this one, 17 shots committed, 9 that Cincinnati has, but the shots on goal was in favor of Cincinnati. 4 shots on goal for the 3 that Orlando had, 6 shots off target for the 3 that Cincinnati has. 3 shots that was blocked for the 7 that Orlando City has, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Cincinnati has in this game. Overall, very entertaining game to watch, and you can definitely sense that both of these teams are definitely contender in the Eastern Conference. And for Orlando, they will be very frustrated that they got nothing out this game. I didn't think they played that badly in this one. They were going toe to toe with Cincinnati, but they're just hoping when playoff time does come, if they do face against Cincinnati again, they better be on the right end of it, because if they're not on the right end of it, they're probably going to be done in the playoffs, unless of course this is the first round playoff matchup where it's the best of 3, and especially some of the missed chances that Orlando City will have. They're going to be dwell on those, and that if they would have put away those chances, this game probably could have been different than what we see with Cincinnati getting the big result. Speaking of that, that's how I feel about Minnesota in this game against the Red Bulls, and this feels like early season Minnesota again, where one of the things that frustrates me a lot with the Loons early in the season is the fact that they were dropping a lot of points from winning possession, and of course giving up goals late in the game. Sounds like a very Adrian Heath kind of type of team, and I even mentioned how many times when they try to go row Heath mode, it doesn't usually go well. Guess what? They went row Heath mode in this one, and it did not go so well for this Minnesota team. Now, early on, the first shot of the game did see Goma puts it wide from close before a Spiel would deny Sofo in the near post. Red Bulls definitely were the better team early on. They were looking for the opening goal. Duncan would puts it wide from the volley, and then Sofo would puts it wide from close range. The shots were already 4-0 early in this game for the Red Bulls. It is pretty clear that the Red Bulls started on time. Minnesota didn't, and they paid the price. As in the 11th minute, Emo Frostberg would score from Choupo-Moting to give the Red Bulls a 1-0 lead there, and it's very odd that, or very rare you see Boxall get beat there like that. I mean, this season he's been rock solid at the back, but here he got beat as a resort. I think this would have been a penalty because he kind of did bring down Choupo-Moting if Rosberg didn't puts it into the net. But at the same time, just to make matters worse for Minnesota in that sequence, Russell Spiel actually took a knee to the head by Choupo-Moting as he went down. So yeah, not great to see. He did continue for a couple minutes, but eventually he had to be subbed off in this one. So yeah, Minnesota were now down to their third choice goalkeeper as Alex Smear now gets the chance to play in this one. I also thought that Minnesota was having a lot of problem dealing with the Red Bulls press. There was just so many turnover in their own end, and that was something that kind of really frustrates me. And when you're already losing, yeah, this feels like it's gonna play right into the Red Bulls' hand. But they eventually did get things going. Romero had a backwards volley kick that was deflected away, so he was trying to one up Bongi in terms of a spectacular goal that he scored against Houston on Wednesday. Pereira would then goes for the Olympico, but it goes onto the roof of the net. And really, after a slow start of this one, the Loons have finally woke up. They were pressing to try to get the equalizer, and they do exactly that in the 30th minute. As Calvin Yoboa would score from Pereira to tie the game up at one apiece. Great to see Yoboa get on the score sheet. It's been a rough last 2 months for Yoboa. He just have not looked the same compared to what we see in the beginning of the season. But he scored here to tie the game up at one apiece. Ile didn't look to answer, but he heads it right to Schmier before there was a shout for a penalty for the Red Bulls not given in the 41st minute, but then in the 45th minute, Minnesota takes the lead as Mark Hannick would score from Diaz and Boxall to make it 2-1 in favor of Minnesota. And even though every team know this is coming with the way that Minnesota love these long throw in, you just can't stop it. Like this is just the bread and butter of Minnesota. They are the kings of set piece goal and the kings of long throw in. And like I said, it feels like every single game there's got to be at least one goal that is scored because of that long throw in or the set piece that Minnesota has had, and they did exactly that again. And just like that, they made it 2-1 heading into halftime. Now in the second half, Stroud would puts it wide from close. Not much really happened, at least in the first couple of minutes, as the Loons goes with their usual low block, trying to make it as far as possible for the Red Bulls to break down. And normally I don't like when they do that, but I can understand because the Red Bulls, this is the thing that they struggle when it comes to trying to break down a low block. Choupo-Moting would then heads one right to Schmier, and then the crowd wants VAR because they feel like Choupo-Moting was brought down by Diaz. I didn't think that was a foul. I think that would have been soft to call, and yeah, they didn't go to VAR. So yeah, the crowd basically responded by telling the referee he really sucked because of that. Ile would then puts one into the stands before Stroud would puts it over from close range. The Red Bulls were definitely pressing for the equalizer. Minnesota, I feel like they're starting to drop their lines a little bit too deep. And again, it really feels like it's Rohit Mo all over again. Ile would then heads it right to Schmier before the post would deny Marcanic from close in the 76th minute. And this chance would also come back to haunt Minnesota because that should have been 3-1 with the way that very similar goal to the one that Marcanic score against Miami back in May. That probably should have been 3-1 and it should have been done with for Minnesota. Schmier then denied Choupo-Moting, but Sofo did get a second chance, and on the second phase of play, he puts it high. I gotta say, Alex Schmier, he did a really good job coming in to this one. I mean, it's never easy as a third choice goalkeeper to come in unexpectedly, and I thought he had a pretty good game in this one. I don't think the goal that he conceded there was really much he can do. Bogush then heads it high from close in the 83rd minute before Frostberg free kick goes by everybody. And speaking of that second goal, yeah, it happened in the 90th minute. And I saw this coming. And especially with the way that this game kind of feels a little bit similar to the Sporting KC game where Eric Ramsey, well, at times he's been good in terms of making substitution. This game was not that kind. He made the wrong substitution. As soon as I saw when Son Bin and DJ Taylor come into this game, I was ready to think, yep, Minnesota's not going to get all 3 points. The Loons are not going to get all 3 points when those guys are there. They're a complete liability both on the attack and on the defensive end. So to no one's surprise, in the 90th minute, the Red Bulls ties the game up as Choupo-Moting would score from Duncan and Sofo to tie the game up at 2 apiece. And then we had a bit of a controversy. So this was really the big talking point out of this game, where at the full-time whistle was sounded and the Red Bulls were ready to counter. Now keep in mind, we were already about 90 seconds over the full-time whistle, and when the full-time whistle was blown, not only the fact that the Red Bulls player were upset because they were already ready to start on the counter on their own defensive end, but yeah, it was a rush of blood moment coming for Sandro Schwartz. He immediately charged down to the midfield line. Now, I will say that I know some people don't like this and think that he was a madman. I mean, I can understand why that he was very frustrated. And to be fair, I kind of saw this coming with the way that he was already mad at the referee with the way that there was only 4 minutes of stoppage time, despite there probably should have been more in this one. But yeah, that moment was kind of the final straw. That moment was kind of the camel that broke his back, and unsurprisingly, he got sent off as a result of that, because you can't charge your way to the pitch to confront the referee in the full time whistle like the manner that he did. But in the end, the game ended in a 2-2 draw on this one. The shots in this one, 21 shots compared to 7 that Minnesota has. 2 shots on goal compared to 7 that the Red Bulls had. 7 shots off target compared to none that Minnesota has. 4 shots that was blocked compared to 7 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And I don't think either of these teams would be happy with this result. Again, for the Red Bulls, they know the home form is what they need to do to try to get themselves into the playoffs and keep that streak alive. And dropping points at home is never going to be a good thing, even if it was for a late comeback like they did. And for Minnesota, again, how many times I've said this season they've dropped points because they decide to go row heave mode. It just feels like this is still ingrained in this team, and it frustrates the heck out of me that the fact that it's still kind of this case. And I know some people will say that, yeah, that goal that was conceded was just kind of unfortunate because of the fans having a lapse of concentration, especially the backup that is, and the fact that this is still a team that is very short-handed. You can take whatever points you want, but it just feels like, yes, you can say that, but it doesn't help the fact that they're still dropping points. And again, the defensive lapses. This is kind of the thing that I've seen with this team. As good as their defense has been this season, there's no doubt. I think this has been one of the best defensive team in the league. It still frustrates me that they still have some of these defensive lapses, and these defensive lapses had simply cost this team points. I mean, I can really now think that they have now dropped 6 points in my mind that I can remember. Now that again, if they didn't drop those 6 points, or even if they drop like didn't drop half of those points, they would be competing right now in the top two and stay toe to toe with Vancouver and San Diego in terms of that those battle for the top spot in the Western Conference. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is New England and the Colorado Rapids. So what did I say about 3-0 lead this season? How it feels like that lead is now becoming the new most dangerous lead, because we've seen this happen before where teams blow a 3-0 lead. And to be fair, as we'll do part 2 of the review, which I'm actually going to plan to do it a little bit later, because I didn't know that the Sunday night soccer and the final game of the match week is actually, there's a bit of a buffer zone. But what did I say about 3-0 lead this season? How dangerous it is when you have a team, especially have a lot of momentum after getting one back. Things can happen, and in this one, I mean, to be fair, we kind of saw this coming with the way that when New England got that one goal back, it was all New England up to this point. They were putting all sorts of pressure. Colorado, not only they were going row heave mode, but they were giving up a lot of chances, to a point where if it wasn't for their goalkeeper Nico Hansen, I think New England probably not only could have come back from this one, but could have even did the improbable and come back and win this one as well. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Hansen deny Miller from close. There was a couple of half chances for both of these teams, but neither really troubled the keeper. Yosef would blast one to Hansen from long range before, in the 29th minute, Calvin Harris would score again. So he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of Colorado. Ivicic did deny TKP there, but it falls right into the path of Calvin Harris. And just like that, the Rapids take a 1-0 lead. Heel did look to answer, but he hits it right to Hansen before, in the 40th minute, Colorado takes a 2-0 lead. It's Navarro. He scored from Yappy to make it 2-0 in favor of the Rapids. It was a great build up there from the Rapids as well to set up that second goal. And just like that, they were leading 2-0 in this one. Campana did look to answer, but he puts it wide from long range before Hansen denied Lagoni from close as the refs were pressing to try to get one back, and they almost did. So in the 8th minute of stoppage time, if it wasn't for Hansen absolutely robbing Campana on the doorstep of goal. But we do head to halftime with Colorado leading 2-0, despite the fact that New England will be kicking themselves. The fact that they could have at least got one back if it wasn't for the Colorado netminder. And in the 55th minute, things gets worse for New England as they give up the third goal of the game as Ted Kudibietro would score from Yappy to make it 3-0 in favor of the Rapids, but New England quickly responds as in the 58th minute, it's Sam Vines that gives life for New England with an own goal, and this is one that Vines would want to have back. I mean, he just completely miscleared this one, put it into his own net, and just like that, it was 3-1 now in favor of the Rapids. Hansen then denied heel from close in the 68th minute. Hansen is really the reason why Colorado is still leading in this one. Like New England could have easily had 2 or 3 goals by them. He was just standing on his head and refused to let any Revs player to score on him. Miller would then miss wide on the header in the 81st minute, but then in the 84th minute, penalty was given to New England as Sam Bassett brought down Heel in the box. So here comes Carlos Heel to steps up to take the penalty. He usually does not miss from the spot, and he doesn't here. So that made it 3-2 in this one, and this is when I thought, yeah, New England's coming back from this one. I had a feeling Colorado wasn't going to hang on to it because if you thought that New England didn't put enough pressure in this one before, they're gonna about to unleash hell on Colorado in these last 10 minutes or so to try to get themselves the tying goal. But the question is, can they beat Hansen from open play? Because up to this point, they haven't beat him from open play. As speaking of Hansen, he denied Diaz from close range. I feel bad for Nico Hansen in this one because he really played probably the best game of his career, and yet the scoreline would still say that he conceded 3 goals. Two of them really isn't really for his undoing because one was an own goal and the other one was from the penalty spot. But like I said, the rest were putting all sorts of pressure. Colorado was hanging on for dear life. Diaz would then hit it right to Hansen in the 89th minute, but then in the 3rd minute stoppage time, the unbearable happened. As Maxi Urruti would score from Beeson and Heel to tie the game up at 3 apiece and complete an incredible comeback that New England has in this one. New England did push late to try to get that 4th goal, but in the end, it ends in a free draw in this one. The shots in this one, 20 shots with 11 that the Rapids had, 10 shots on goal compared to 4 that the Rapids has in this one. I mean, this was just the Revs peppering that Colorado goal. And as I said, if it wasn't for Nico Hansen, I think Colorado probably would have lost this game, even if they were up 3-0 in this one. No shots off target, but a 3 that New England has. Both teams had 6 shots on block and possession-wise, 70% possession compared to 30% possession that the Rapids has in this game. And normally, when I say a team blow a 3-0 lead, that's got to be very dissatisfying. And in some way, I think Rapids fan will be feeling very annoyed the fact that they blow a 3-0 lead in this one. But like I said, with the way how this game has went, I feel like they're probably fortunate the fact that they were able to hold on to a draw and was probably fortunate that their backup goalkeeper was playing lights out in this game for the most part because yeah, New England, it's not very often I say a team come back from a 3-0 deficit and we still feel a little bit disappointed, but I think that's you got to say that about this New England team. I mean, yeah, they had a lot of chances in this one. And credit, yes, Hansen had a great game in this one, but you just feel like they have to bury some of these chances that they miss and that yeah, they had a golden opportunity to come back from this one. If they didn't just get that equalizer so late in the game. I think if this game would have gone for another 15 minutes, New England probably would have come back from the 3-0 deficit and went on to win this game. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last 4 games to finish up the first part of the review where I look at the first 8 games from the Saturday night action. So now moving on in the next match, we got Montreal and NYCFC, and it finally happened. For the first time since last September, CF Montreal have finally won a home game. And to be fair, I'm not surprised by this because, coming into this game, I already mentioned the fact that Montreal has already beaten NYCFC once, and the fact that NYCFC, this team, I mean, I don't know what it is, but they just simply cannot win on the road. And the fact that they have looked very inconsistent this season and especially have played down to their competition against weaker opponent. I just had a feeling that yeah, Montreal probably should have won this one. And to be fair, they probably would have won this one more comfortably because they were the better team in this game. Now in the first half, the first shot of the game, Cecily shot deflected away before Fernandez had a shot that hits right to see Was. NYCFC definitely feel like they or actually no, NYCFC not only got to a good start, but they feel like that ball actually crossed the line before C Was, who actually bobbled it and able to keep that one out. But the ref says it didn't cross the line, so the game remains 0-0. Wolf have a shot that was deflected and goes behind for a corner. The shots were 3-1 for NYCFC early in this one, but then the 22nd minute, Montreal takes the lead as Leturi would score to give Montreal a 1-0 lead. Romero did make the save there on Sealy, but it's unfortunate the fact that it falls right into the path of Leturi. He blasts that one went in, and just like that, Montreal takes the 1-0 lead, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half because not much really happened, at least in the latter part after the goal was scored by Montreal. In the second half, Risa would head one that was clear the way before Campbell would head it wide in the 50th minute. Sealy would then head it right to Romero, and then Petrasso would head one into the side netting as both of these teams were exchanging some chances, but I thought Montreal was pressing for another. Wolf would then have a shot that was deflected wide before Pereira would head it on the header in the 65th minute. Wolf would then hit a weak one right to Siwas. The momentum now all of a sudden back to NYCFC as they now are trying to press for the equalizer. Vassane was in on goal there, but he was absolutely robbed by Romero from close in the 68th minute before Maxi Morales would hit it wide from close. Pierce would then hit it right to Siwas in the 87th minute before Romero denied Owusu, who tried to shut the door for Montreal. And I just immediately wrote, will that missed chance come back to haunt Montreal? Especially they had multiple opportunity to kill this game off. The good news is, even though they didn't kill this game off, NYCFC couldn't get that goal to come back. As in the end, Montreal getting their third win of the season. Both of them of those 3 wins have come in the expanse of NYCFC. The shots in this one dead even at 13 shots, 6 shots on goal for the two that NYCFC had. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 4 shots that was blocked for the 7 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to the 39% possession that Montreal has in this game. I'm pretty sure Montreal is wishing they can play NYCFC a couple more time because if that's the case, they can definitely get themselves back into the playoff race. But unfortunately, their meeting with NYCFC is done, and I'm pretty sure if you're NYCFC, you're happy. The fact that you've finished your meeting against Montreal. I mean, again, it's a big mystery with this team. I don't know why this team struggles so much on the road. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe it has something to do with them playing at a baseball stadium and take advantage of the dimension. But even then, I mean, they should still be better when they're playing on the road, and especially playing against easy teams. This season, they have dropped points and lose to teams that I would not expect them to get to lose game. Like twice to Montreal, once to a Houston side that was pretty much putting their second team. I mean, these kind of result is why it frustrates NYCFC fans. And even when they do get big wins against big opponent, you can't take care of your business against easy teams. Yeah, you don't deserve to make it to the playoffs. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Nashville and DC United. So this was a game where, yeah, for Nashville, this definitely were not one of their better games that they had. In fact, I think they maybe take DC a little bit too lightly in this one, but nevertheless, in the end, they do still get the 1-0 win in this one because, that's kind of a sign of a team that is definitely going to be a contender in the East. Even when they're not playing at their best, they're still getting the result, and DC, yeah, they're not a good team. Now, in the first half, not much really happened in the first 15 minutes before a penalty was given to Nashville as Bartlett or Mukta was brought down by Bartlett in the box. So here comes Sam Surge, a chance to berries from the spot, and he does exactly that. So that's 1-0 in favor of Nashville. We then go for a period where not much really happened. Surge then looked for another, but he was absolutely robbed by Barraza on a 1v1 opportunity. And in the first shot for DC didn't came until the 39th minute where Savania hits it right to Barraza. There was a shout for a penalty for DC not given. DC definitely finally woke up and looking to try to get the equalizer, but we do head to halftime with Nashville taking a 1-0 lead. In the second half, Batola would puts it wide from close before Schlegg would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide. I thought it was a promising start for DC as they were pressing for the equalizer. Benteke tried to do so, but he heads it wide from close. By the way, Benteke back in this game for the first time in a while since suffering a bit of an injury, and yeah, they definitely need the big man because goal scoring has been a big problem for this DC team. Mukhtar would have a long range shot that was deflected wide, and really as the time winds down, Nashville kind of started to go through their usual low block, which again, that's kind of not what you expected. You would expect that they would still try to get that 2-0 being resort to put this game out of bed, but I guess maybe BJ Callahan realized that this team may be a little bit fatigued after their last game, decided to just kind of seize this one out. And normally when you're the road team, when you try to do that, it doesn't usually go well. But the good news is that they're playing against DC, and Nashville has shown the ability that they can grind out a resort despite going with their usual low block. Surich would then put it high off the volleys. Kind of similar to what I said that a Gary Smith team would do. So as much as BJ Callahan has really transformed this team, there is still some sort of element of a Gary Smith style kind of play where they do still grind out resort like Gary Smith team used to do. And again, this is kind of one of those games that is the case. Mukhtar would then puts it just high from long range, and that was a bad decision from Hani Mukhtar because he could have took this one to the corner flag, really could have killed this game off as a resort. But the good news for Nashville, it doesn't come back to haunt them. They get the 1-0 win in this one, and the shots in this one, not a lot of shots. Only 7 shots for both of these teams. 2 shots on goal for the one that DC had. Both teams had 2 shots off target. 3 shots on his block for the 4 that DC had. And possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that DC has in this game. And for those that, of course, tune into this game, I definitely send my condolences because, yeah, it was not a fun game to watch. But hey, Nashville wouldn't care. They get another 3 points. The unbeaten run is now get to 11 games, and I believe as I last checked in the standings, I think they're now up to second in the stand. No, they're still in third in the standing. I forgot Cincinnati did get the win, so they don't really make up grounds in terms of that. But they are knocking on the door of the top two. I mean, this is the hottest team right now in MLS. They have been unstoppable so far, and we'll see how long is this gonna keep going. Though again, it's not easy to grind out a result when you face against a DC team that to say that they're done. Yeah, that feels like it's been a formality for a long time. I'm kind of surprised Troy Lesane is still the head coach of this team. I would have thought that changes were going to be made, especially after a couple of weeks when they got smacked 7-1 to the Chicago Fire at home. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is Houston and St. Louis, and it's safe to say that, yeah, St. Louis, new interim head coach Booz is all but gone right now because, yeah, in this game, it wasn't even close. Like, Houston were by far the better team in this one, and they needed this one badly. I mean, I mentioned this as being a desperation derby. The Dynamo need a home win at its worst, and they did exactly that, albeit, they probably could have put this game away sooner as well. In the first 10 minutes, not much really happened. In the 12th minute, Escobar had a shot that hit off his own teammates from close before Linger with an overhead kick that puts wide. No doubt Houston started the first couple of minutes the better side. They were looking to try to get the lead. Reigns would miss wide from long range in the 22nd minute. We then go for a period where not much really happened. That changed in the 44th minute when Andrade would hit it right to Berkey before Ponce would hit it high from close. Linger then puts it wide from close in the 8th minute of stoppage time. The Dynamo was pressing hard to try to get the lead before halftime, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Klaus would put it wide on the roof of the net, as that was one of the rare opportunities that St. Louis has had, before Sevchenko would hit it right to Berkey in the 51st minute. Just like majority of the first half, Houston started the better side. They were now pressing to finally get that opening goal, and that pressure finally paid off in the 66th minute as Ezekiel Ponce, he scored from Andrade and Escobar to give the Dynamo a 1-0 lead, and then he quickly looked for another just 2 minutes later, but this time he was denied by Berkey. Totland would then hit it right to Bond in the 73rd minute before Andrade would hit it right to Berkey. Lawrence Anelli would then put it into the side inning. If he would have put that one in, what a moment that would have been for Lawrence Anelli, battling back from a torn ACL injury. And it's got to be bittersweet to see him back in this team for the Dynamo, and a guy that they hope that he can replicate the form that he had before he torn his ACL, because when he came into the league, he really was the real deal. But there was no doubt that Houston was looking to kill this game off with a second goal. Berkey would deny Kowalczyk from close in the 90th minute before the last chance of the game saw Bond denying Teuscher from close. Little do we know that would be the only shot on goal that St. Louis would have, and that would be also the last chance that St. Louis would have in this game. Just a dismal performance by St. Louis in this one. They lose 1-0 in this one. The shots in this one, 18 shots for the 7 that St. Louis had, 1 shot on goal for the 6 that Houston had, 6 shots off target for the 2 that St. Louis had. Both teams had 4 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And like I said, for the Dynamo, they desperately needed this win, especially against a lowly St. Louis side like that. We'll see whether or not if Ben Olsen team can get themselves back on track, but for St. Louis, yeah. They have a lot of problems right now, and as I said, the new interim head coach boost that is clearly weared off. It only lasted one game against the Quakes, but now it feels like it really has weared off. Now, moving on into the last game on this board is Sporting KC versus RSL. So I mentioned this is kind of the battle of the mid, but I forgot to mention this is the Johnny Russell derby because I remember RSL has Johnny Russell, and you could also say it's the William Agata derby as well because it feels like RSL has a couple of former SKC player that were playing against his former team, and one of them definitely made a big impact in this game. In the first half, Palacio had a shot that was put wide as that was the first shot of the game before Gonzalez would hits one right to Postgam. I thought RSL started the better side as they were looking to try to get the lead. They were leading the shot 4-1 early on. Catranes would hits it right to Postgam before Cabral denied Munia from the near post. Postgam then denied Gozo from close before Glad would hits it wide from close in the 37th minute. Ruiz then missed wide from long range as RSL continued to pound on the pressure, trying to get that opening goal with some decent chances. Agata would then head it wide from close in the 45th minute, but then in the first minute of stoppage time, RSL finally got that goal that they've been deserving. And guess who? It's Johnny Russell. He scored against his former team, only his second goal for RSL from Catranes, and no, you knew that when this was happening, it was going to be interesting to see what kind of response Johnny Russell was going to do. And yeah, he did not celebrate against his former team. He scored that right in front of the Cauldron as well. And this is one of the rare times where the away fans actually cheer when opponents score. And the Cauldron, they definitely respected that. Not only he did not celebrate, but deep down, if you ask any Sporting KC fan, Johnny Russell is still very well loved in the fan base. He's definitely going to go down as one of the sporting legend of this proud franchise. And yeah, there's a bittersweet moment if you're a Sporting KC fan, conceding the goal, but it's to the guy that you're so well loved, and they definitely applaud him for that. But we do head to halftime with Sporting KC losing 1-0 or RSL leading. That is. But in the second half, Cabral would deny Munez, but it falls right to Rodriguez, and his shot was blocked off the line by Russell. So yeah, Johnny Russell definitely made it big impact both on the offense and defensive end in this one. Before Suleimanov missed wide from close range, I thought Sporting started the second half the better side. Yeah, whatever they said at halftime, it feels like it kind of got them going. And in the 60th minute, they got the equalizer as Eric Tommy would score from Garcia to tie the game up at one apiece. It kind of took a deflection and goes in. A little fortunate there in a sporting perspective, but they're back in level term. And then Tommy looked to try to get another one, but he was denied by Cabral in the 62nd minute. The momentum was all with Sporting KC. I thought this was going to be one of those games where it's kind of like a tale of two halves, where RSL was the better team in the first half, and in the second half, that's when Sporting KC was the better team. But that would quickly change because after Ndembe missed wide from close range in the 64th minute, and then Gonzalez tried to go on his bike, but he hits it right to Poltgam. In the 82nd minute, we saw a red card in this one as Jake Davis gets his second yellow card of the game, and just not a great moment there for Jake Davis. Anytime when you come on and you get a second yellow card, it's never a great moment there, and because of that gives all the momentum back to RSL, and they were pressing hard to try to get the winning goal. It started with Ruiz missed wide from long range before Polshkam denying Gozo, but it falls right back to Ruiz who puts this one over. RSL was pressing hard to try to get a much needed road win, where Sporting KC was virtually just trying to in survival mode. Like they were trying to survive with this 1-1 draw. Marchuk would then hits it right to Polshkam before Gozo had a shot that was clear off the line by Miller in the 7 minute of stoppage time. And yeah, despite the fact that RSL put a lot of pressure, Sporting KC survived. They get the 1-1 draw in this one. The shots in this one, 20 shots for the 13 that Sporting KC had, 4 shots on goal for the 9 that RSL has, 8 shots off target for the 2 that Sporting KC had, 9 shots as blocked for the 7 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Sporting KC has in this one. And normally when a team get a draw at home, I would say that they're the more disappointed side, but I think this is kind of the reverse. I think Sporting KC will be happy that they were able to survive that late rush that RSL had to get themselves a point. But for RSL, I mean, they needed this win badly if they want to get themselves back in the playoff contention, especially with multiple chances in this one. It's also kind of been the story of the season for RSL. They just don't have that clinical goal scorer to score the goals for this team, and as a result, these are kind of the result that we're seeing with them missing chances left, right and center and not getting the result that they need to get themselves back into playoff contention. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to looking at all of these games, at least the first 8 games, that is, from match week number 21. Again, I'm going to quickly stop this recording because I'm going to have to get back to the Sunday night soccer game. I think that game already kicked off and it's already started about 9 minutes ago. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.